Hello and welcome to another episode of James Chats with, the show where I, James, sit down and chat with friends. Pretty self-explanatory. Today, I have the one and only BethBeRad. Hello, Beth. How's it going?
Hello, that's me.
For anybody who might not be familiar with who you are, why don't you give us a quick rundown of what you do?
I'm an artist on the internet. And so sometimes that means I'm Twitch streaming or making YouTube videos with time-lapse videos and the art stuff, right? But I also am a motion graphics animator here in Hollywood for a bunch of studios and individuals. So it's a career that bounces back and forth between like play and professional. But they complement each other really well.
And for those of you new to the show, I have a couple questions of my own as well as some viewer-submitted questions right here. So what do you say we jump into the questions?
I'm so excited.
So what would you consider to be your proudest achievement as an artist?
Oof. Anybody who watches me knows that I have a goldfish memory, which means that whatever I did last month, I can't remember, but the achievements that I had this week are really, really bright in my brain. I'm the animator for Anna Akana, who's another YouTuber, and she has been putting together an album, a music album, and she asked me last year to do an animated music video for one of her songs, and so I did, and it took a full year to do it, and it's just this week it's been completed. It's going to come out sometime this year, but I'm like incredibly proud of that just as a personal achievement because I've never done something for this long at that scale. But then professionally, a couple years back, I won a Silver Key Art Award for the Dope teaser trailer. So Dope's a movie that came out, I think in you know what? I'm not going to say the date because I'll get it wrong. The teaser trailer I did back when I was working for a different agency, and I won an award for that. So it's cool to like have that under my belt on top of personal achievements.
What would you consider to be one of your best artistic investments? So something that you might have purchased for yourself or done for yourself that has had the biggest impact on your career?
That's a really good question. My first response to that isn't a thing that I purchased myself, but back when I was 16, my parents for Christmas bought me a Wacom tablet. I don't know where I would be in my career development without that tablet because it like set me up when I was 16 to start drawing digitally. And so by the time I turned 18, 19, went to art school, like I had a huge leg up on a lot of my colleagues because I knew how to use a tablet in the first place. So that was like a huge one for me. But you know, one purchase does not an artist make. And so between having a tablet, I also like went to art school, and that was an incredibly expensive purchase that I have complicated feelings about. I think higher education is like, you have to do it if you want a better quality of life. Art school is a very expensive option.
Yep.
And the reason, so there's complicated feelings there, but I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for those choices. So yeah, Wacom, baby. In art school, baby.
And what would you consider to be your ultimate goal as an artist? Like, where do you see yourself taking this career?
Goals are tough. My goals nowadays are different from my ones like back when I was in college. In college, I was like, my goal is to move to Los Angeles and work in an ad agency. And then I did that, and then I achieved that goal. At the time, I thought that I wanted to become a creative director of my own studio, which technically happened. Like, I'm freelance, I work for myself, I'm a one-man studio, and so yeah, sure, you're a creative director now, Beth. But it's interesting, those tangible goals, once you achieve them, you have to like reassess what the next step is. It's going to be another stair step up, or are you going to start kind of aiming at less tangible things? And so my goal now, if I have to put a word to it, is like to be happy, which seems so obvious. I feel like everybody wants that. But it informs every choice that I make now. So the kinds of work that I take on, the clients that I work with, the amount of work I'm doing, like all of that is to the service of my own personal happiness. And sometimes that happiness comes from like working with others and being a mentor to young artists. And sometimes that happiness comes from making a lot of money. So it changes day to day, which is pretty nice.
How often would you say you don't pursue something because you feel like it wouldn't help you with the goal of being happy?
A lot. I'm very fortunate in that what I do is a very niche creative thing that a lot of people need. If you want to make money as an artist, become a motion graphics animator. Holy moly, everyone needs you. And that's a thing. I have to say no to a lot of projects because if I said yes to everything, then I'd be drowning in work and I wouldn't be able to sleep. The moment that I skip 2 hours of sleep, my whole face breaks out and then I hate how I look and it's just this downward spiral of Beth is a robot, don't talk to her until her work is done. And I've learned from the past. I've learned not to overburden myself with too many projects. And then of course there's like, sometimes you'll work with somebody and it doesn't go very well and they might want you to work on another project in the future and you say no because it was like harmful for you. But more often than not, it's just the amount of work. I have to say no to certain things in order to keep like a good work-life balance.
You just said it. Work-life balance. You got to find that in order to maintain happiness. How about we dive into some questions submitted by the viewers?
Ooh, let's do it. Thank you, everybody, for submitting questions.
Yeah, there was a lot of good ones. We had a tough time narrowing it down. First question comes from Willem. How does one go about receiving criticism for work without taking it personally?
And the end of that was like, I'm asking for a friend, not for myself.
Yeah.
Right, Willem?
Yeah.
It's tough. Creative careers are so unique because our personal worth is like tied directly to the stuff that we make. And so when others are critical of that stuff, it feels like it's a personal attack. It feels like, oh, it's not that you don't like this image that I painted, it's that you don't like me because that image is my child. That was my baby that you're insulting. You need to divorce yourself from your work in a lot of instances because it's never about you. Unless it is, in which case they'll tell you. But when it's criticism about the work, if you're getting notes about a piece that you did, it's because that's what the client is looking for. That's what the client needs. It's not about you. I don't know. Steel your nerves. Get tough. Get that tough skin on. Because like you're the expert. Have faith in the fact that you're the expert. But they're the client. And it's true that the client is always right. And so if the client has a need, then you adjust and you take account of those needs and you make the changes that you need to make them happy. It might not be what you yourself feel is a good choice. But the job isn't only to make beautiful art, it's to please the client. It's not personal, that's all. It's just not personal, and being able to understand that comes with just experience. By the way, this is Garrus. I know Garrus has been like hanging out on my shoulder this whole video, eating a noodle. Next
question comes from Liz. How does doing art for independent clients such as Anna Akana differ from bigger clients like Netflix?
Ooh, I love this question because I didn't really think about it until it was asked, and it's so different. It's so different. The biggest thing is that with a client like Anna Akana, there's only one person that you're working with, and that's your boss. That's the client, right? She will send me her like fully finished video that doesn't have any graphics, give me a list of things to do, and then I do those things on top of the video, send it back. She might have notes, she might not, but that's the end of it. Then we're done. When you work with corporations, you are working with like your contact, and that contact has a boss who has a boss who has a boss. And all of those bosses, in order to do their job, have to have a point of view or an opinion on the piece. So like you'll get the video, you'll make some graphics, render out the video, send that to Netflix. And then if your excuse me, Garrus, can you not? If your contact doesn't have any notes, they still have to send it to the next person who might have notes, and it comes back down to you, and then you change it, and then it goes to the next person who might have completely different notes, and it comes back down to you. It's like a much longer process to get one thing done, but there's also much larger budgets and often larger teams working on different things. So with my Anna work, with my like independent work, I'm doing everything. I'm doing, not with Anna, but a lot of other stuff. I'm doing sound design, I'm doing illustration, I'm doing animation, I'm editing, I'm copying it together, I'm sending the final piece. When I'm working with the bigger corporations, sometimes I'm only doing one part of that. Sometimes I'm only doing the editing. I'm only doing storyboards. I'm only doing like a write-up. I'm writing the script, right? Because they have these like greater teams. What's interesting about this job is that it's different every time you sit down to do it, depending on who you're working with.
All right, next question comes from Marine. What were jobs you wanted to do when you grew up?
So many. I wanted to be a scientist. I was not interested in art at all. And I wanted to be an ecologist, an ornithologist, a zoologist, a concert cellist at one point. I thought maybe I could be a Broadway actress. I was super into animals. I was super into birds. And what I realized, junior year of high school was that you could enjoy a career. So my dad is a union electrician, and he would come home every day just like beat, so tired, so stressed out. And God bless my dad for working as hard as he did to give me the life that I have been able to enjoy. Like I am nothing without my dad's hard work. And I try to be that hardworking in my own life as well. But there was something subconscious about that taught me that your career is not a fun thing. Your career is something that pays the bills, and then when you come home, that's when you get to relax and be happy. So for me, art was something that I had done all my life, and it was something that was a fun, relaxing, lovely thing. And so the idea that it could be my career literally didn't occur to me until I talked to my then French teacher, who had previously been an art director for companies like Coca-Cola and Lazy Boy at an ad agency. And she saw me drawing in class all the time, and she was like, "Oh, you know that there's a position for that. You could be like a commercial artist and work in a studio like how I worked." And it just like blew my mind. And then I fully invested all of my time into going into an art school. I like totally pivoted my junior to senior year of high school. And my dad lost his mind. He was like, your grades are so good, Beth, you could do anything, and you choose art. And I said, yes.
As a younger kid, I wanted to be a geologist.
Yeah?
Because I collected rocks.
Hell yeah.
And then I wanted to be an engineer, like a mechanical engineer. Then I wanted to be in information technology. And I ended up doing a complete pivot, but I waited a little longer than you. I was halfway through college.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so stressful.
Yeah.
That's the thing about career, too. You don't know where you're going to be in 20 years. Like, this is what I'm doing right now. This isn't what I saw myself doing 5 years ago. And 5 years from now, who knows? I might go back to school and like get more interested in social sciences and try to figure out a way to do psychology and psychoanalysis and therapy and art, have it all be like united. Or I might have like a storefront downtown Los Angeles where I sell t-shirts. I don't know. But that's what's kind of fantastic about life, right? We've got a good active 60 some years to explore and play and change. Yeah, and follow our desires.
Yeah. And last question comes from Beatrice. How long have you been creating art?
Oh, I can't even remember. I think every tiny itty bitty child is an artist. Every tiny itty bitty child makes stuff, creates stuff, because nobody's telling you not to. It's kind of wild that we do this. And I talk a lot about talent versus skill, but it's wild that we take babies, little itty bitty babies, right? And we give them a paintbrush and we watch them paint, and then we go, ooh, you have a knack for that. Or, ooh, you don't have a knack for that. And then at 5 years old, they just stop. People just stop being artists because they don't think that their picture looks as good as somebody else's picture. My point of view when it comes to talent and skill is that talent is just the first stair step on like the stairway to mastery. And somebody who's like born with a knack for something, like, yeah, they have a step forward from everybody else, but that means nothing in the long run. If you want to be good at something, if you want to develop a skill, it doesn't really matter where you start. If you keep working hard at that for years and years and years, you can get to mastery. What was the question?
How long have you been creating art?
That's right. But I lucked out because when I was a child, I had a mother, and my mother is an artist. I said that oddly, but that's what I was trying to get to. My mom's an artist, and so I was surrounded by a beautiful creative spirit my whole life with everything that she does. Decorating the house 4 times a year. She would paint sculptures. She has tons of drawings and paintings. She herself never pursued it as a professional career. And that's probably another reason why I didn't see it as being a career option for me, because my mom was like the artist that I knew, and she didn't make money off of her work. So that to little baby Beth brain, art doesn't make money, right? But the gift of it was that I was being mentored from a young age because my mom's an artist.
All right, well, I think that is a great place to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being on the show. How can people find you if they want to see your work?
Nice. Yes, you can find me all over the internet at BethBeRad. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Also, I'm on a D&D podcast called D&D&D, which you can listen to on like anything that you listen to podcasts on.
It is a very good podcast, and I highly recommend it. And if you want to follow me, you can check out the show both on Instagram and Twitter at JamesChatsWith, or my personal stuff, JamesChats TV on Instagram, Twitter, JamesChats on Twitch. All the links will be in the description down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you again for being on the show, and I will see you all in the next episode.